installation artist and I work with space. I was raised in an extremely religious home, and my father was a man of the cloth and my mother was a painter. And that's left a remarkable impact on who I am for a number of reasons. But I'd say the two most significant results of that upbringing were, one, everything in our house was really based on the Word, and it always referenced texts and interweavings of texts. So everything we thought and everything we did was sort of justified through the language of the text. And I became very, very sensitive to language, to words, to the meanings of words, and to the languages that were contained in myself and everything around us. So it's basically from that social framework that I understand that everything is socially constructed. And therefore, as an artist, when I start to make anything or when I start to think about anything at all, a tremendous interweaving of texts is always brought forth. So one of the strongest sort of consistencies within my work is sort of a visual vocabulary that I develop. A prior piece in which I did this was Ignaz's Nose Travels in Still Life, and it started as an interactive CD-ROM and then became a series of installations. And for the installations, the way I begin those is I get into whatever room is given me. And I already have a good number of sculptures, videos, photographs, all of the items which I've developed in order to define a certain theme. And when I measure the space, I sort of document it by hand, measuring it with my body. And that way the trace of the space has resonance in my mind. So I can then begin to develop an installation. And within the installation, I place objects, photographs, videos. So as the viewer walks through the space, their bodies then document as well a sort of trace of the issues that most concern me. One of the things about this space in particular, I think I've been in 3 different spaces since I've been here, but one thing about this space, the very first installation that I did was in this room, and I did it for an open studio. So it's basically mimicking an auditorium. And within the auditorium, I placed chairs, and I built a series of cardboard chairs so that each one is 3 inches higher than the next. So it mimics an auditorium in which it's usually an inclined surface. The first use of this space was that installation. And from there, I've devised the others. In this space, one really great thing about being here is that I have a room in which I can focus entirely on the piece because it is so complex. It's a lot to live with at home. So it's wonderful to be here in the company of some 100 odd artists that are all dedicated to working. It just feels a lot less isolating.